All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Matt Modi here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. This very well might be the last week that we're doing these live streams because we're live through the first round of the playoffs, but it looks like the first round might be done by the end of next week, and I will be out on Friday. So we'll have a stream Monday. We'll have a stream Wednesday at 11 a.m., of course, at this time, but there will be no stream Friday or Monday as I'll be out of town. So Wednesday might be the last NBA playoff stream. Of course, we'll be doing the shorts and all that stuff. But regardless, I was in the middle of saying, as you guys know, we're live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But that will actually not be the case for this week, as there won't be a stream Friday. But as for today, 3 games tonight, 3 games tomorrow. We're going to have a pick for all 6 of those games, and we're actually going to have 10 picks total. A couple games where we're going to have multiple picks. So far, one series has ended. The Timberwolves bowed out the Suns last night. There's a first time for everything Bradley Beal. They got swept last night, kind of went out pretty sad. And then for tonight, we have a potential 2 series that can end with the Thunder up 3-0 and the Nuggets up 3-1. And then, of course, we have our same game parlay at the very end as well. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you're not already. You can find me at my social media handle, Jedi Modi, as you see on the screen here. And then the most important thing, I already see some people in here in the chat. Get all those questions, all those comments, all those anythings in the chat, whether you just want to shout out a play that you like, whether you want to ask my advice on a play that you like, whether you just want to mention something, anything. Could be Star Wars related, could be whatever you want. Put it in the comments and I'll make sure to read it out. It's always more fun. These streams are, the more interactive the chat is. So I definitely recommend that. I already see some people in here, which is great. Josh, I'm sorry to hear about your knee. But glad you're in here in the stream. Mike Thompson, time for a new week. That's right. This weekend was pretty rough for those of you that did follow the shorts that we had. Pretty rough stream, like the worst stretch that I've had basically this entire NBA season, including the regular season and the playoffs. So it feels like a great opportunity to bounce back. And then Jalen Gauze, hashtag thanks, Matt. Let's hope we have a lot of hashtag thanks, Matt, after today. But we can get right into it. Ooh, Matthew Chalk had Nuggets 4-1 before the series started. It's hard to win against the team 8 times. That's true. I mean, that's good that if they win tonight, you will hit that. The argument I would make is that it's hard to beat a team 7 straight times. So how much more difficult could it be that 8th time? And then I think it was 11 straight, including the regular season. So at some point, maybe the Lakers just needed to see one go through the hoop, and they'll be able to pull one out tonight and try to make this somewhat of a series. We'll see. Anyways, the first game on tap for tonight is in the Celtics versus Heat. I'm going to have 2 plays in that game. First up, we're taking Tyler Herro over 25.5 points plus assists, -113 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. We're actually getting a pretty good play here at 25.5. Most books had this at 26.5 for basically the same odds that we got the 25.5. So we got a 1-point discount without suffering any juice, which is pretty good. Now, I'm not necessarily projecting that Tyler Herro blows up like he did in game 2, where he had 38 combined points plus assists. But I do like this as a bounce back spot for Herro. And I do like it as a bounce back spot for the Heat as well. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to win as heavy underdogs. But if you look at how that game went in game 3, the Heat shot 1 of 7 on 3-pointers that were considered open by NBA.com standards, which just means 4 to 6 feet of space. They shot 5 of 13 on wide open 3-pointers, which is 6+ feet of space. That's a combined 6 of 20 on 3-pointers that were either considered open or wide open. In game 2, they made those shots. In game 3, they did not. And Tyler Herro specifically, he shot 3 of 9 from deep. Heading into the series, I thought that this would be a good matchup, a good series for Tyler Herro. You wouldn't think that because the Celtics have 2 really, really good guard defenders and a really good team defense as well. But the way that the Celtics funnel shots is that I've mentioned this a million times, but they play drop coverage on the pick and roll, meaning you run a pick and roll with the guard and Kristaps Porzingis or whoever's playing center is going to drop a little bit, keep everything in front of them. With that style of defense, guards that, or not even guards, players that run a lot of pick and rolls, they can rack up points and or assists against that style of defense. Now, the Celtics play their drop a little bit higher than you see teams like the Bucks with Brook Lopez, who basically just stays in the paint regardless. They have athletic big guys like Horford and Porzingis who can guard space. I mean, Porzingis used to not be able to, but he's been a lot better this year. So maybe it's more of a 3-point play for Tyler Herro, but I kind of like the points plus assist angle. Obviously, that's why I went with it. And my thoughts on Tyler Herro being good this series for the Heat, being a good option, that was wrong twice, and that was right once. So after a brutal game 3 in which he shot 3 of 9, and that was coming off of a really good game, again, where he had a combined 38 points plus assists, I think it makes sense as a bounce back spot for Tyler Herro. He's generally performed well against the Celtics. If you go back to the regular season of the past 2 years, he's played them 10 times. He's gone over this number in 6 of those 10 games. Obviously, going back to last season isn't the most perfect metric, but a lot of these teams actually are surprisingly similar, with the biggest difference on the Celtics obviously being Kristaps Porzingis, but that was bigger offensively because he can shoot. And then Marcus Smart and Jrue Holiday, mostly a wash on offense, with Jrue Holiday not shooting as much as Marcus Smart, but they're both very, very good guard defenders, which is the point. So that's our first one. Next up, same game, Jayson Tatum over 2.5 made 3-pointers, -125 odds at DraftKings. I'm also putting a half unit on him to make 4 plus 3-pointers as well. That's at +210 odds. And this is a situation, we're fading recent results with this one. Granted, this one is going to feel very gross. I will admit this is not going to feel good because Jayson Tatum has shot honestly horribly through 3 games against the Heat so far this series. He was 1 of 8 in game 1. He was 2 of 6 in game 2, and he was 2 of 7 in game 3. That's a combined, 5 of 21 through 3 games. So we're going to go ahead and label this one. This is our Pepto play of the day by far. It's definitely going to feel gross, but I think this is a really, really good opportunity to buy low on Tatum. It's rare you're getting his over under 3-pointers. -125 is a little bit juice, but normally you're paying like -140 for him to make 3 3-pointers. But what I love about those, the numbers that I gave, those attempts are great. 8, 6, and 7 through 3 games. For someone that needs to make 3 and have a good shooting game, that's not the worst thing in the world, especially for someone like Jayson Tatum, who is a very streaky shooter, right? The guess here is that he keeps having these types of attempts, 8, 7, 6. He's going to have a blow-up game where he shoots 6 of 8 from deep, something like that. Now, if you look at his track record in the playoffs, specifically against the Heat, I admit it doesn't look great. But if you just look at the regular season games this year, he cashed 3 or more 3-pointers in 2 of those 3 games, with 10, 7, and 6 3-point attempts in those 3 games as well. And we've also seen Jayson Tatum struggle for stretches, specifically in the playoffs, and then break out of that slump in a big way. Obviously, it's a different team, but in the Sixers series last year, Tatum really struggled in like games 4, 5, and through 3 quarters of game 6. And then he blew up in game 6, won that game in the 4th quarter for them. And then in game 7, he scored 50 points and he made 6 3-pointers. He was 6 of 10 from deep. I would not be surprised if we saw something similar from Tatum tonight. Maybe not 50 points, maybe not 6 3-pointers, but a better shooting performance than what we've seen from him after 3 games. Again, combined 5 of 21. I'm fading that for someone like Tatum, who's a streaky shooter, who's going to get the shots up. Eventually, the other side is going to start falling out for Tatum, hopefully in a good way. All right, so that's it for Celtics Heat. Now we're heading to the Thunder versus Pelicans. Another 3-point prop here. Herb Jones over 1.5 made 3-pointers, -140 odds per the betting pros consensus. Another situation where I am having a ladder play as well. I'm putting a half unit on him to make 3 or more 3-pointers. That is at +240 odds. So we went with Herb Jones in game 2. He cashed out for us. He made actually 4 3-pointers in that game. And despite the fact that he missed it in game 3, that just makes me want to go right back to him tonight in game 4. It's almost the exact same logic why I was on him in game 2, why I'm also going to be on him in game 4 as well. Last game, he only made 1 3-pointer. He was 1 of 6 from deep. That immediately screams, okay, fade those, because he's gonna presumably shoot better, not like Jayson Tatum, bad for 3 games in a row. But if you're getting up 6 attempts, you need to make 2. That's a good sign for us, especially when you consider the fact that legitimately all 6 of those 3-pointers were considered wide open. Not a single 3-pointer that he attempted in game 3 was contested. And that's after the fact that he made 4 3-pointers against them in game 2. So even with that, they watched him make 4 3-pointers. They still left him wide open and played him the same exact way and let him take a bunch of wide open 3-pointers. Because of the fact that he just went 1 of 6, that makes me even more confident that he's going to have a good shooting game tonight. In game 1, he went 2 of 8. So, I mean, he did cash the over 1.5, but that was not a good shooting game, 2 of 8. And then in game 2, he turned around and shot 4 of 7. What I love are those attempts, 8, 7, and 6 through 3 games. Those attempts are exactly why we're on him today, especially when you consider the fact that he's going to continue to be left wide open. And he's turned himself into a pretty decent shooter. Like, he's going to keep firing away. He's shown enough that he can knock down wide open shots. In 6 games against the Pelicans this year, so 3 regular season, 3 playoffs, he's made 2 or more 3-pointers in 4 of those 6 games. He's done it in 2 of 3 playoff games, and he did in 2 of 3 games in the regular season as well. And if you look at the regular season, he did shoot, I should say, 45% on wide open 3-pointers. So expect his shooting percentage to normalize after a rough game 3, coming after a hot game 2. The zigzag method of the NBA playoffs. Granted, it didn't work the past 3 days, but it's a strategy that I am confident in. Jalen Gauze got Brandon Ingram under 32. My screen is being blocked off. I'm assuming that's P something. He's been getting locked up by Dort. Yeah, Dort has been playing really, really well. So yeah, I won't talk you out of that one. All right, so we're 3 picks deep. We still have one more game tonight. But you see DraftKings Sportsbook on the screen here. The 82-game preseason, that's officially in the books. We're well within the first round of the NBA playoffs. It's finally time for the real season when we see teams actually start trying in the regular season and fraudulent teams like the Suns just go out sad. You're not going to want to miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, we're in the first round, going all the way through the finals. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Same game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, much, much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code NBA Bets. New customers can bet $5. Turn that into $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code NBA Bets. Only at DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, so for the last game tonight, Lakers Nuggets, I'm actually going to have 3 plays in this one. 2 player props, 1 main line. The main line play, I'm taking the Nuggets -7, -105 odds per the betting pros consensus. I'll be honest, I thought the Nuggets were going to sweep the Lakers. I thought the Nuggets were going to win game 4. I was wrong about that. The Lakers played pretty well, but maybe like I said earlier, maybe the Lakers got the monkey off their back, and they now realize that it is possible, in fact, that they can beat the Nuggets. But I think going back to Denver, the Nuggets win this one. I think they win it with relative ease. It's been kind of interesting. Like, every other game has been close in this series. Nuggets won comfortably in games 1 and 3. They narrowly won game 2, and then game 4 wasn't close, but they lost by 11. So like, they basically dominated games 1 and 3, won game 2 in a very close, obviously game winner, as close as possible, and then lost game 4. My guess is that game 4 is going to start a similar pattern than what we've seen every game this year, where the Lakers get out to a decent lead, and then the Nuggets slowly start to come back. And unlike game 4, complete the comeback, crush the soul of the Lakers. That's what I'm expecting to happen in this game tonight. Just looking at the box scores from game 3, a lot of that makes me nervous moving forward for the Lakers. They scored 119 points, by far the most they've scored in this series so far. 119, that's a pretty clear outlier when you consider their offense. I mean, they did figure some stuff out to end the season, but mostly struggled on offense the entire season. They had 4 separate players score 20 plus points. That's something that I want to fade as well. And the first person of that I'm going to fade is D'Angelo Russell, which gets me into our next pick. I'm taking him to go under 15.5 points, -109 odds per the betting pros consensus. Now, talk about flip-flop. That's basically what D'Angelo Russell has been this series. Game 1, he was terrible. He scored 13 points, shot 6 of 20 from the field, 1 of 9 from deep. Then I saw that. I bet on him in game 2. I bet on him to bounce back. He came through for us. I had him over 2.5 made 3-pointers. He catched that in like the first 4 minutes of the game. He was good in that game. He was 8 of 16 from the field, 7 of 11 from 3-point range. I didn't think of this, but I should have. After that, that screams outlier shooting performance. That screams fade. Game 3, that was the most aggressive fade a person could possibly have. He did not score a single point in game 3. Literally scored 0 points. 0 of 7 from the field, 0 of 6 from deep. After that, I didn't have the stones to back him in game 4. I should have scored 21 points. He was 8 of 15 from the field and 4 of 8 from deep. Now, this isn't me saying that D'Angelo Russell is incapable of playing 2 good games in a row. What I am saying is that this is a tough matchup for him. Historically has been a tough matchup for him. And in general, the Nuggets were a tough matchup for point guards all year. So after having another outlier shooting performance, shot better than 50% from the field, which he is not an efficient shooter, shot exactly 50% from 3-point range. To me, that just screams fade, right? As I mentioned, he has historically struggled against the Nuggets, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. And I will admit, he was better against them this year than he was last year. Granted, it was hard to be worse than he was against them last year. But even if you look at just this year, he's gone over or under. I mean, it's both in 3 of 6 games, and in so 1 of 2 in the regular season, and now 2 of 4 in the playoffs. So exactly a 50% hit rate. I'm not expecting him to have another good offensive game. I think the Nuggets do shut him down in this one. Next up, our last play for tonight, our last play in this game specifically, I'm taking Jokic over 27.5 points, minus 108 odds at DraftKings. Excuse me. So we're not fading recent results with Jokic. Instead, we're actually backing those recent results. I like for him to have a good game tonight in a closing win, in my prediction, closing out win for the Nuggets. It's kind of an interesting series for Jokic, bookended by 2 good performances, 32 points in game 1, 33 points in game 4, and then he went under this number in games 2 and 3. Granted, he wasn't terrible in those games, just went under. But the important number that I want to highlight here is he attempted 20 shots in game 4, and that is the volume that I am expecting in this game as well. Jamal Murray, he's probably going to play, but he's banged up and he hasn't quite looked like himself. I mean, all series, he headed into the playoffs banged up. He hasn't been great in the playoffs. I mean, the game winner was amazing in the fourth quarter, and game 2 was amazing, but overall, he hasn't been great. And I also, just looking at the box score from game 3, I have a hard time seeing another 27 points out of Michael Porter Jr., who had an incredible game. So I'm expecting Jokic to put up another 20-plus shots in this one, closing out the Lakers. Azana mentioning LeBron in elimination games since 1920, since Lakers fakers. I don't know if that's a Freudian slip or not. 29, 40, 30. Yeah, he's been really good in elimination games. He did just score 30 points. Maybe he comes back and has another close to 30-point game again. It's just, I mean, he's LeBron, he's the GOAT, but at this age, can he do that in 2 games in a row? We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not putting my money there personally, but I get the logic for sure. All right, so that's it for tonight. Before we get into tomorrow's games, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. If you are looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than the exclusive Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free picks for all of the sports that are currently going on. So right now, NBA playoffs, obviously. Baseball, we're in the middle of baseball season. We have, college baseball is, I think, starting soon. And then we have over the summer WNBA, we have soccer, golf, anything you can look for, you can find in the Discord. Player props, live betting, futures, much, much more. Get in on the action, connect with like-minded sports betting enthusiasts, elevate your own betting strategy by gaining insights from the pros. Join us in the Discord today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. All right. First quarter points could be a good play for Bron. I am just avoiding that one entirely. Although triple-double, I'm guessing you can get pretty juicy odds for that. Although his assists have been pretty down, if I remember. I know they were in game 4. In game 3, I can't remember. Was that the game where he cashed in like the last second his assist, or was that in game 2? I can't remember. So the first game tomorrow on the schedule is the 76ers versus Knicks game. And our first play for that, I'm taking actually the Sixers spread. I'm taking them +4, minus 105 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I honestly thought the spread was going to be a little bit higher in favor of the Knicks. I thought it was going to be like 5.5 or 6 is what I meant to say. But the fact that it is only 4 points to me is telling. And I like zagging here a little bit and getting the Sixers to cover. So I guess it's now at minus 112. So it did move a little bit according to DraftKings, as you can see on the screen here. But I haven't checked a ton of social media about it this morning, but my guess is that everybody is clowning the Sixers. Everybody is just going to bet them to roll over and die in game 4 after having a pretty disgusting fourth quarter, especially Embiid in game 4. He scored 1 point in the fourth quarter. He had 1 rebound, played the entire second half, which might have been a mistake, but they would have gotten blown out in the minutes that he sat anyways. So I think the more likely scenario is that tomorrow's game between these two teams is another tough game, right? Of the 4 games of the series, the 3 games that the Knicks won have all been close. Every single one. They pulled game 2 out of their denims. And then game 4, they won because the Sixers offense just crapped their pants in the whole fourth quarter, and they couldn't get a rebound. All of those things could very, very well easily happen again. But what it does mean is probably another close game. And the Sixers won. Not going to call it an easy win, but a non-sweat win that they won by 11 points. Now, if this game is tied with 3 minutes left, the Knicks are probably going to win, but it probably will be close. And if I'm getting 4 points, to me, that makes a lot of sense to back the Sixers spread. I wouldn't be surprised if they won straight up. I'm not going to put my money on the Sixers to win a big playoff game because I've seen that movie way too many times. But, game 4, the Sixers spread was 5.5. I thought that was way too high. I thought the game was going to be close. I was on the Knicks spread. Obviously, that came to fruition. And for tomorrow night, for very, very similar logic, I just think this game stays close. And I think in a close game, I'll take the team with the points. So that's our first play. With that said, I am having an under for Kelly Oubre Jr. under 11.5 points on the Sixers as well. I'm taking him under 11.5 points, minus 105 odds at DraftKings. I think this is the perfect opportunity to fade recent results, fade Kelly Oubre Jr. He was terrible in games 1 and 2, played much better in games 3 and 4. Now it's time to fade those results and bet his under in game 5. And looking at his line movement from game to game, meaning his point total over under, is kind of funny. In games 1 and 2, his over under was 11.5. He went under in both. Then it dropped a full 2 points for games 3 and 4. Then he went over, scored 15 and 19 points. Now it's back to 11.5. So it jumped back up to what it was in games 1 and 2. I feel like the books are trying to catch up with Kelly Oubre Jr., and I understand why his over went up, or his point total went up, I should say, because he did go over in 2 straight games. But looking at those performances, I would have faded him after game 3. I didn't have a play on it, but if I would have faded him based on those results. Now that what we saw in game 4 makes me want to fade him even more. In game 3, he shot 6 of 8 from the field. Obviously, that's a ridiculously high shooting percentage for a non-center. That's not going to sustain itself. And then in game 4, he attempted 15 field goals. That's clearly an outlier bet goal attempts. In games 1 through 3, he attempted 7, 7, and 8. So going back to New York feels like an excellent opportunity to fade Kelly Oubre Jr., bet on him to go under 11.5 points. 2 more plays for you guys. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros app. bettingpros.com/apps is where you can find it. What I think is the most valuable part of the app and what I use the most personally is the prop bet cheat sheet. Find all of Betting Pro's recommended picks on the prop bet cheat sheet based on the current lines that the sports books are offering, along with the Betting Pro's projections as well, giving you positive EV plays based on the Betting Pro's projections and what you can get at the sports books. You can also tail me on all my picks on the app as well. My sports books are synced, which we'll get into, so you can find all my picks there and tail my profiles at bettingpros.com/Modi. You can also get a free trial to the premium offering. So if you download the Betting Pros app, you get access to a free trial of the premium offering. And then the last thing that I'll say is the bet sync function that I mentioned. You can sync your bets through all the different sports books through the Betting Pros app. Tracks all your results for you, so you don't need to manually go in and track anything, which is really cool. So download the Betting Pros app, bettingpros.com/apps. Anthony Davis over 28.5 points in assists. He is having a really good series. What do you have? 20? I know you're not taking the rebounds. What do you have? 23 rebounds last game, which is crazy. He also went under last game when LeBron scored 30 and D'Angelo Russell scored 23, whatever it was, and Austin Reeves scored in the 20s. So I think Anthony Davis over actually is a good spot. I don't hate that by any means. All right. Magic, Cavs, next game we're going to talk about. I'm just taking the under 201, minus 109 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. In all 4 games this series, there has been a team that has scored in the 80s in all 4 games. In games 1 and 2, it was the Magic, scored 83 and 86 points in games 1 and 2. In games 3 and 4, the Cavaliers turned to be offensively challenged, scored 83 and 89 points in games 3 and 4. Now, the Magic offense, they performed really well in games 3 and 4. They scored 121 and 112 points. Maybe they figured some stuff out. I am ready to fade them going back on the road to Cleveland. I'm ready to fade their offense once again. I don't necessarily know if they'll only score like 83 and 86 points, but this is a game in which I expect one team to score in the 80s, and I don't expect the other team to be above 100. You do that math, that's an under 201. And the Magic have been a significantly better home team than road team. So if this was an opportunity you wanted to back the Cavs, I wouldn't hate that. I kind of think that they're similar to the Suns and that they're kind of dead. Maybe they perform better going back home, but I've seen enough red flags from them at the end of the regular season and now through 2 games that I'm not necessarily expecting them to just pick it back up in game, I guess in game 5. And personally, I don't necessarily think that the Magic fixed a bunch of stuff, a bunch of schematic matchup advantages on offense. I think what more happened is Paolo Banchero had a great shooting game in game 3. Franz had a great shooting game in game 4. 2 good offensive players, not necessarily ones that you can count on quite yet in their young careers to just be consistent playoff performers. So going back to Cleveland feels like the right time to fade the Magic offense, and then I'll gladly fade the Cavs offense based on what we've seen as well. Last pick of the night, and then we'll get into our same game parlay. Pacers versus Bucks. I'm taking Myles Turner under 19.5 points plus 102 odds at DraftKings. Another fade of recent results here. This one probably is going to feel a little bit scary as well. Myles Turner, he's had a really good series overall, but he has really blown up, specifically in games 3 and 4. He did go over this number in game 2, so it wasn't like these are the only 2 games he's gone over. But in games 3 and 4, scored 29 points in each of those games. And look at his shooting, 4 of 10 from deep in game 3, 7 of 9 from deep in game 4, 7 of 9. For someone that's not named Klay Thompson or Steph Curry, that's ridiculous shooting numbers. And I know that he's a fine shooter for a big man, and I know he's been good this series, but I see those stats and I immediately want to just fade that. That to me is an unsustainable shooting for Myles Turner. Maybe I'll feel dumb for doing it, but the fact that he's made 11 combined threes in a 2-game stretch, yeah, I'm not saying he's not Steph Curry, he's not Klay Thompson, Klay Thompson, I should say, and he's made 3 or more 3-pointers in all 4 games this series. If you look at the entire regular season, he did not have a single stretch where he hit 3 3-pointers in even 3 straight games. And he's now done it in the first 4 games of the series. That hot shooting stretch, that is bound to end, even if the Bucks continue to leave him wide open like the dumb team they did in games 3 and 4. You hope they play him differently. And even if they don't, 7 of 9 is crazy. So I'm ready to fade that. We are getting it for plus money, so we're paying for that a little bit. Exactly. 7 for 9 is crazy for center. The best shooting big man in the NBA right now is Karl-Anthony Towns. He doesn't go 7 of 9. That's perfectly said. All right, so now for our same game parlay in the Lakers versus Nuggets game. And it's all 3 plays that I gave out. It's plus 480 odds. Nuggets spread minus 7.5. I think they take care of business at home. D'Angelo Russell under 15.5 points, fading him after a good game 4. Nikola Jokic over 27.5 points, betting on his volume with the banged up Murray and in the closeout game for the Nuggets. So plus 480 odds for those 3 as my same game parlay of the day. If you want to build your own same game parlay, check out the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder. You can combine multiple bets within a single NBA game, leveraging different insights like correlated bet recommendations, positive expected value ratings, cover probability, much, much more. You can use the app to perfect your own betting strategy, analyzing Betting Pros correlation grades and projections. You can also use the app to stay ahead by following the latest same game parlays placed by fellow bettors via the app. Start building winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. And that's how we got covered every game for tonight and for tomorrow night. I'll check with you guys on Wednesday, hopefully after an amazing 2-night stretch that we're having, or that we're hopefully going to have. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for commenting who did. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and hit me up at my social media, basically anywhere at Jedi Modai. and I'll catch you guys on Wednesday.